Jake Gyllenhaal is arguably one of the most compelling actors working in the industry today. Since he was a young boy, he's been delivering a steady stream of performances that aren't just memorable, they're visceral, relatable, and often deeply transformative. While he isn't exactly underrated, there is a strong argument that his work doesn't always get the level of recognition it deserves from the mainstream or the Academy. In this deep dive, we're going to explore his entire filmography, tracking the journey from his earliest, least famous indie roles to his massive blockbuster appearances to uncover exactly what makes him such a powerhouse performer. Before we get into the heavy lifting of his career, we have to address the elephant in the room, his name. Most of us have been butchering it for years. It is a Swedish name, and according to Jake, there are only 2 places in the world where it is pronounced correctly, in Sweden and inside an IKEA. Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal was born into the heart of the film industry on December 19, 1980, in Los Angeles. With a director for a father and a screenwriter for a mother, he was essentially raised on film sets and exposed to the art of filmmaking very early on. This isn't just a solo act though. His sister Maggie Gyllenhaal is a titan in her own right. You might know her from playing Rachel in The Dark Knight, but she also played Jake's sister on screen in the cult classic Donnie Darko. Jake made his acting debut at the age of 11 in the comedy City Slickers, where he notably showed off some impressive shoulder-popping skills. From there, he began appearing in a few of his father's movies, slowly building the foundation that would lead to him being named one of the 50 most beautiful people and the sexiest man of 2018. He even dated Taylor Swift, who famously wrote a few songs about him after they broke up. Despite the Hollywood glitz, Jake has always been a bit of a seeker. He actually dropped out of university where he was studying Eastern religions and philosophy to focus entirely on his acting career. Interestingly, he was also among the top picks to play Batman and even auditioned for Spider-Man early on, long before he eventually joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Mysterio. While Jake has certainly appeared in his fair share of blockbusters like The Day After Tomorrow and Prince of Persia, those are not his best performances. His true power lies in independent art house films. Much like Robert Pattinson's transition from teen heartthrob to indie darling, Jake found that his most significant growth came from taking on challenging roles like Brokeback Mountain, Donnie Darko, and Nightcrawler. There seems to be a direct correlation in his career. The lower the box office of Gyllenhaal's movies, the better the performance gets. His career was essentially built on 2 major breakthrough roles that showed 2 completely different sides of his talent, October Sky and Donnie Darko. October Sky was an immediate hit, telling a wholesome story about a boy's passion for rocket science. Donnie Darko, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. It wasn't a box office success on its initial release, telling the story of a psychologically troubled teenager, but it eventually became a cult classic. These 2 movies laid the foundations for Jake's acting style, often relying on the subtleties of his facial expressions and the intense use of his eyes to convey deep, unspoken emotion. To develop his range even more, he went on to play in theatre, practicing accents and learning how to sing on stages like the West End and Broadway. But 2005 was the year his career took a turn, because this is when we start seeing him take on more risky decisions as an actor and just roll with them. The most pivotal of these was Brokeback Mountain. Often jokingly referred to as the gay cowboy movie, it was actually a bold career decision that earned him his only Oscar nomination ever for Best Supporting Actor. Jake realized the true power a story can have and started working even harder on reaching his true potential. If Brokeback Mountain showed his emotional depth, the movie Jarhead planted a different kind of seed. Not only is it the first of many movies where Jake takes an angry shower by himself and rethinks life, it's also the first of many military or police-related movies he later plays in, such as End of Watch, Zodiac, and The Covenant. Jake is drawn to these roles because he expresses great admiration for their bravery and is interested in people operating under extreme circumstances. For End of Watch, he actually worked as a police officer in LA for several months, training with officers and even accompanying them to crime scenes to ensure his performance was raw and authentic. Following the movie Zodiac, Jake began to master the genre of the psychological thriller. It was on this film that he learned filmmaking is a director's medium, especially when working with someone like David Fincher, who is known for pushing his actors to the extreme. One hilarious fact from that movie is that David Fincher added hair to Jake's knuckles with CGI because he thought they looked too perfect. Jake's greatest strength is his dedication to fully embodying a character, a technique called method acting. This led to what many consider the greatest trilogy of back-to-back peak performances, Prisoners, Enemy, and Nightcrawler. In Prisoners, director Denis Villeneuve went with Jake over other top actors because of his previous experience researching police work. Jake introduced a whole backstory for the character, coming up with facial tics to show stress and little details like tattoos to make him seem like a real person. In Enemy, he took method acting so far that he literally became his own doppelganger, playing 2 distinct characters while not trying to be his actual self. Then there is Nightcrawler. To play Lou Bloom, Jake went on a salad diet to look like a hungry coyote, lived a nocturnal life during filming, and famously never blinked to make the character feel unhinged. Jake didn't stop there. To shake off the disappointment of not receiving an Oscar nomination for Nightcrawler, he went on to play a boxer in Southpaw. The physical transformation was insane, but more importantly, it showed his discipline and mindset. That boxer's mentality stuck with him for years, leading him to film Roadhouse, which was partially shot during actual UFC fights. But pushing yourself this far eventually takes its toll. According to Jake, he pushed himself over the edge psychologically for the movie Stronger, playing a character based on a true story who lost his legs in a bombing. In recent years, his choices suggest he isn't obsessed with Academy recognition. He seems to be more focused on playing characters that represent a challenge, while also feeling true to himself, working with directors and actors he has collaborated with before. He's also branched out into working with new directors like Bong Joon-ho for Okja. Most importantly, it was time to throw out the seriousness and have fun again. Films like Demolition and Nocturnal Animals remain among his most underrated performances. Whether he's playing a hero, a villain, or a man on the verge of a breakdown, he puts a lot of time and effort into figuring out who his characters are off-screen. From the way they talk to the way they walk, and even the way they blink, he builds a full picture for the audience. Good things come to those who work their asses off, and no matter how the Academy treats him, he will always be the Jake Gyllenhaal of them all.